All right, guys, this is part 1 of a 3-part video on how to answer questions in Spanish. All right, so remember this pronoun chart that we learned way back when, the wheels to the car? It should now be pretty clear that you should still know this. You should still know where everything goes. And everybody knows now that to means you. So if I were to ask you something in English, what do you want to do? What are you going to do this weekend? You would answer me, I am going to have a party. I am going to play in my soccer game, etc. So that's the first pattern that we're going to heavily discuss in this video. There is one more that you'll see in part 2, which is anytime I ask you a question in ustedes, what are you all, meaning you and your friends, doing this weekend? You would say, that's right, we are playing in a soccer game, or we are going to see a movie, etc. So those are the 2 main patterns. Everything else, if there's no change in subject, there's no change in verb. You'll learn more about that later. So this is a preview, and now we're going to really focus on this one concept. Any question that comes at you in the to form, you must flip it around and answer about yourself in yo. So now let's look at some specific examples. So, in other words, in Spanish, we're going to make a little chant, which will be our guide to helping you remember. It's a good memory trick for how to remember all of these question-answer patterns. So this is part 1 of our little chant here. If the question comes at you in the to form, you must answer in yo. And again, that makes sense. What are you having for lunch? I am having pizza. You, I, to, yo. You, I, to, yo. So again, let's look at another example. This makes sense because if I said in English, what do you have for lunch, you would say, the you would become I, you'd answer about yourself, I have, peanut butter and jelly, or whatever. To help you remember this pattern, here's my silly little chant. Let's start it off. Again, it's silly, but it works. When I say to, you say yo. To, yo. To, yo. All right, that's part 1. We're gonna add to that with each step. Now, let's practice this pattern with some examples of 3 verbs that we've learned this year. Starting with the English, to just really help you conceptualize this. What do you want to be when you get older? You must answer about yourself. I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a actor, actress, singer, whatever. So now, let's try something like this in Spanish. Let's look back at ser, the first verb we learned. You guys remember, ser means to be. And we conjugate it, soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. So if I were going to ask you, right, I have to find my to on the chart, how you are or what you want to be, I would need to use eres, because that's the form of the verb for ser that goes with to. So if I asked you a question, ¿Cómo eres tú? ¿De dónde eres? Anything in the to goes to yo, so therefore, if I'm saying ¿De dónde eres?, you would say, yo soy de Weston, Boston, California, whatever. For example, one of the questions we've worked on, ¿Cómo eres tú? How would you describe yourself? You have to answer about yourself. So you would say, yo soy alta, baja, inteligente, atletico, and then you'd fill in the blank with an adjective that, of course, matches your gender. All right, so anytime, again, you see eres in the question, you must answer in, because eres is asking you about yourself, so you have to flip it around and answer in the yo form, which would be soy. So let's add that part quickly to our chain. All right, as you remember, tener means to have. Okay, you conjugate it as tango, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenes, tienen, remembering my silly little trick of Sarah eats noodles, so you don't mess those 3 up. Okay, we're going to look at the same pattern. Anytime I would say to, you would say, you should be getting this by now, yo. All right, well, the exact same thing applies with tienes. Anytime I say tienes, you must say, that's right, tango. So again, tienes is often left out of the question. And you've heard, to is often left out of the question. You'll see some of that in a second in my examples. All right, for example, hey, block change. If I were to say tienes, who am I talking to? Okay, I'm obviously talking to you because tienes for Sarah, that only goes with to. So if I say to you, tienes un perro, do you have a dog? You again have to flip it around and answer about yourself. Let's just pretend you do. Si, remember when you say yes, you need that accent, otherwise you're saying if, that's if. So you'd say si, yo tengo un perro. Yes, I have a dog. So tienes for do you have would go to yo tengo for I have. And again, here's an example of, again, notice how tu is not in the question. It's much more common to hear cuántos años tienes. That's how you've learned it in elementary school. That's how I've done it this year. You could just as correctly say cuántos años tienes tú. It's just not needed, and it's really very not common or very uncommon. So if anytime you see tienes, that verb ends in an S, you know it's talking to you. So if I say cuántos años tienes, how many years do you have? In other words, how old are you? You have to say yo tengo for I have 12 años. Yo tengo 12 años, really meaning I have 12 years, but that's how you say in Spanish, I am 12. Let's try one more. Okay, kind of an odd question, but I like that. It applies to our creature project. If I say tienes una cola, meaning do you have a tail, you would of course say no, answering my question. Yo no for I don't. Okay, so no answers my question. Yo no means I don't. And then you have to say tengo for I have una cola. No, yo no tengo una cola. No, I don't have a tail. If I say tu, you say yo. Tu, yo, tu, yo. If I say eres, you say soy. Eres, soy. Eres, soy. If I say tienes, you say tango. Tienes, tango, tienes, tango. You're almost there. One more thing to learn. All right, so now let's look specifically at our AR verbs. Okay, this is a little harder because I'm going to use a vague example first, and then I'll give you a specific verb to focus on. So we've already talked about several times that any question that comes at you in the tu form, you must answer in yo. So now let's look generically at AR verbs. You now know our endings are o, as, a, amos, ais, an. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. We still have that lame little trick, but now it's Sarah ate noodles. She's done. She ate them. So anytime you see a verb that ends in as, like bailas, you would change it to ending in an o. So bailas, meaning do you dance, you would answer in si, yo bailo. Yes, I dance. If I said cantas, that's saying do you sing? And so you would answer it in si, yo canto. Yes, I sing. Or no, yo no canto. If I said nadas, do you swim? Si, yo nado. So now let's look specifically at esquiar, which means to ski. This is the one we'll add to our chant. All right, so esquiar up here means to ski. So again, anytime you see a question in the tu form, you answer in yo. Let's just apply that specific pattern to the verb esquiar, to ski. Okay, so we have esquio, esquias, esquia. Esquiamos, esquiais, esquian. You already know that. You've tested on that. So if you see a question that has esquias in it, you now know I'm specifically asking you, do you ski? If I just say esquias, that's it. Just esquias means do you ski? So you have to answer si, yo esquio, or no, yo no esquio. All right, let's add that part. All right, esquias en el invierno. Do you ski in the winter? So you have to turn it around and answer about yourself. Si, don't forget that accent. Yo esquio en el invierno. Yes, I ski in the winter. Or let's say you're not a skier. You still have to say no to answer my question. And then you would say yo no esquio. And you'd copy the rest just like up here. En el invierno. En el invierno. I'm running out of space. So how this works with the no is you're saying no, comma, or period to answer my question. Yo no esquio is how you say I don't. No is no, and no is also don't in Spanish. So let's add this last step to the chant, and then I'll send you to the game. All right, put it all together. Remember, this chant is a guide to helping you answer questions. So when I do this chant, I'm saying, when I'm saying if I say tu, that means if I ask you a question in the tu form, you answer in yo. And when if I say eres, you say soy. I'm saying if I'm asking you a question that uses eres, you answer in soy. If I'm asking you a question in tienes, you would answer in tango. If I'm asking you a question, or anybody is, in esquías, you would answer in esquío. So that's the purpose of this chant. It's a guide, it's a memory trick to help you remember anytime you're asked a question in any of these forms, how to answer it. Let's do it one last time. If I say tú, you say yo. Tú, yo, tú, yo. If I say eres, you say soy. Eres, soy, eres, soy. If I say tienes, you say tango. Tienes, tango, tienes, tango. If I say esquías, you say esquío. Esquías, esquío, esquías, esquío. Let's go to the games to see if you get it so far. Remember, you can always watch this video a few times to help you understand. Some of you will get it right away, and some of you will need to see this 2 or 3 times. That's not a bad thing at all. It's just going to help you learn it. It's going to help you do better on the test and help you better understand the language. And again, if you watch this a couple times and you're still confused, always, please always, always, always come see me for extra help.